For the longest time, I didn't believe that Magomed Ankalaev was a wrestler because at this time I'd only watched four of his fights. His two fights against Johnny Walker, him versus Anthony Smith, and lastly Alexander Rakic. And I didn't see enough active grappling for me to really make that assumption that this guy is some Khabib Nurmagomedov of the light heavyweight division. Because in his fight against Alexander Rakic, no one wrestled, not once. It was basically a point fight for 3 rounds, which Magomed Ankalaev won 2-1. In his fight against Anthony Smith, he didn't attempt to take down Anthony. Anthony was the one who initiated the takedown in the second round, and then Magomed capitalized off of that, and we saw that he has a good ground and pound game and takedown defense. In his fight against Johnny Walker, the first one he did land a takedown, but that fight was too short for us to draw any conclusions from. And then in his second fight against Johnny Walker, they were pretty much standing up the whole fight. There were times when they were both in the clinch, but no one really had any intentions of getting a takedown, or maybe they weren't able to. And understandably so, because Johnny Walker is a pretty physical guy. He may not be the most technical striker, let alone grappler, but he does have natural strength and he's very unorthodox. We saw him land a lot of strikes on Magomed Ankalaev, and as much as he did get knocked out, in the first round he landed a capoeira spinning wheel kick, and then shortly after that he landed a question mark kick, and those were not hard strikes, but I would say rather medium. It was enough damage for us to really wonder what Alex Pereira would do given those openings. Johnny Walker and Anthony Smith managed to land some thudding low kicks on Magomed. For Anthony Smith, a lot of his low kicks would get checked because Anthony's not the fastest guy, he's not the most explosive. Whereas against Johnny Walker, I would say Johnny Walker was winning some of the low kick exchanges. It was only in the second round where Magomed landed a thudding low kick. That's one of the hardest low kicks I've ever seen. I don't know how Johnny ate that, but he did. The fact that Magomed was having leg kick competitions with guys that aren't necessarily known for having good leg kicks makes you wonder, how would he pair up against Alex Pereira? Because Alex Pereira has the best leg kicks in MMA history, and it's not even debatable. We have guys like Israel Adesanya, Justin Gaethje, Edson Barboza, who are also known for having good leg kicks. Guys like Justin and Edson have really powerful leg kicks, whereas Izzy is somewhere in between. He probably times them a lot better than Justin Gaethje and Edson, but he doesn't kick as hard. But what do these three fighters have in common? They telegraph their leg kicks to a certain extent, whereas Alex doesn't. And I don't know about you guys, but I think a non-telegraph low kick is much better than a powerful telegraph low kick. And that's what we see with Alex Pereira. Jan Blachowicz also had a lot of success with low kicks. It reached a point where Magomed's legs started to give out and he had to resort to wrestling. Now imagine what Alex Pereira's kicks could do, because granted, Jan probably kicks harder than Alex, but he's not as efficient. Alex times them better, and they're also a lot less telegraphed with Alex Pereira, so that would play a huge role in the outcome of the fight. And people think that Alex Pereira can't grapple, but people forget this guy is training with Jan Blachowicz. He's not the same Alex Pereira that came into the UFC after retiring from kickboxing as a double champion. This is someone who's been working on jiu-jitsu. We saw him grappling with Caio Borralho, and at times he was having the better of the exchanges. We saw in his fight against Jan Blachowicz, Jan attempted to wrestle him, but didn't have a lot of success. Hence, Alex winning via decision. So I don't think it's going to be as simple as Magomed taking Alex down in the first round and just mauling him. That's a possibility, and I hope that's what he plans to do, because if he tries to stand with Alex, I guarantee you he's going to lose. He's going to eat a bunch of leg kicks and probably get knocked out, because Magomed is a great striker, but Alex has the reach advantage, the height advantage, the skill advantage. Magomed is competent. A lot of his fights go to decisions. Like him versus Rakic, it went to a decision. Look at what Yuri did to Rakic. You know, Magomed is a point fighter, and he would have to be perfect for 5 rounds, whereas Alex probably just has to knock him out. Out of everyone in the top 15, I think Magomed Ankalaev stands the best chance because he's a very well-rounded fighter. And I know a lot of people want to overlook his striking like they do with all the guys from Dagestan, but when you look at Islam Makhachev, before he fought Charles Oliveira, the narrative was that Charles was the better striker, but we saw Islam knocking down Charles Oliveira, who's supposed to be this otherworldly striker that Islam had no chance with. He got knocked down by a crotch sniffer from Dagestan, but it turns out crotch sniffers can stand and bang too. And that's the same case for Magomed Ankalaev. And people want to act like Alex Pereira is untouchable. He's been touched many times, no diddy. In his debut fight against Bruno Silva, we saw Bruno having a lot of success. Maybe not as much as Alex Pereira, but he still did manage to touch him. And then in his first fight against Izzy, he was losing the fight up until he got the finish. And then in the second fight, Izzy starched him. And in his latest fight against Khalil Roundtree, Khalil was winning up until he got finished. Now, this doesn't take anything away from Alex Pereira because he won 90% of those fights, but it makes us understand his striking a lot better. This means that there's a chance that Magomed could really look good early in the rounds and then get finished later on. Or if he chooses to play it very safe, he can point find Alex Pereira to a decision. Because oftentimes, a reason why these guys get knocked out is because they engage too much. They don't disengage. If you're winning a fight, you shouldn't be head hunting. Just point fight, dart in, dart out, because you know you might try jab this guy. But if you guys land a jab at the same time, his will do way more damage. So you just can't afford to get hit. And I think Magomed Ankalaev is the embodiment of hit and don't get hit. And that's why a lot of his fights seem boring, but they're not. If you appreciate the sweet science, you'll like guys like Magomed Ankalaev. So I think that's his best chance against Alex Pereira standing. But the smartest way for him to win the fight is to take down Alex Pereira in the first round. Because you don't want to give Alex any room, any information to download, else he's going to knock you out. I want you guys to let me know what you think in the comments. Who do you think is going to win the fight? Who are you going to bet on? Yeah, thanks. Like and subscribe. Peace out.